All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Movie Spoiler Alerts podcast. Today we're going to be talking with Jeremiah, or JERMGaming, from the Casual Shenanigans crew.
Hello.
As well as Mark.
Sup, turds?
And so today we're going to be talking about the difference in watching movies versus watching movies in the theater as opposed to watching it at a home theater / I suppose just watching it in home if you don't actually have a home theater setup. Mm-hmm. So first we'll talk about actually watching movies in the theater. So what are your guys' opinions on theaters in general?
Mark, you want to go first?
It's gotten, for like a normal movie theater, I never ever go anymore. Except for when something I'm like really, really looking forward to comes out. And thankfully, Jeremiah and I both live close enough to an IMAX that is cheaper than a normal movie theater. It's like $10 every single time.
Like
it's
midnight
great.
Releases are $10.
Yeah.
3D is $10.
3D. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it never changes. And I do enjoy that. Like, you know, nothing quite compares to the IMAX experience. As far as like, I mean, you know, I think, and I think you said you were going to talk about, you know, how it relates to like specific genres, like going to see a movie. And I'm assuming you're going to say like a lot of action movies need to be seen on the big screen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of where I was heading with it, but continue with what you're...
Okay. Because I was going to say, like, if it's going to be like some, like, you know, like indie drama or like comedy or something like that, I'm not going to go see it. I'm just going to wait till I can watch it at home. Mm-hmm. So, over to Jeremiah.
I am kind of the same way. I like to see like comic book movies in the theater because I like the whole going at midnight experience with a bunch of other hardcore fans. You know, I like that whole thing. If it's a movie that everyone who's going to see it is there because they love that thing, like watching the last 3 Fast and Furious movies in the theater has been really, really fun.
I'm pretty certain that Furious 7 is the only movie I've seen in theaters this year.
Wow. Actually, I think I've only seen that and Fury Road and then Mission Impossible, I think are the only ones I've seen in the theater this year.
I'm easily up to like 15 or 16. I watch... I'll get into it, but...
Yeah, and I'll get into why that's not the case for me, but I like seeing big action movies that I can't like wait to see. I'll go see that in the theater. But it's got to be something like James Bond or Fast and Furious or a Marvel movie, like not even a regular action movie. Yeah, it has to be a blockbuster that I absolutely can't wait to go see, and I'll go see that in theater. But like Mark said, I will at the very minimum try to go see it on one of the local IMAX screens, and if possible, we have a real IMAX at an Air and Space Center near where we live, and that
you're talking about one of the circular
that's one
ones.
I was talking about.
Yeah, one of the curved screens. And I saw Interstellar there, and that, I mean, will probably be one of the all-time greatest cinema experiences I've ever had. Because this, like, regular IMAX, better screens, better sound and stuff, but this was like another level. This place, like, your body shakes when the bass hits. Like, it's just incredible how good it sounds, or like how loud it sounds.
That like rollback of the eyes, as you say, incredible.
But yeah, that's everything else I prefer to watch at home.
Yeah, see, for me, in terms of theaters, I guess to a degree, I just like to have a reason to leave the house occasionally. So that's what I get from going to the movie theater. But the other thing is I definitely enjoy that whole element of being amongst other people that are big hardcore fans, even for things that I've seen in the past. For example, the most recent thing I saw was... When was that? That was last Tuesday. So last Tuesday, I actually went and saw the two-part finale of the actual Doctor Who TV show. So it was actually a TV show that I've seen 1 or 2 times, but it was actually just because of getting that experience of being with all these other hyper Doctor Who nerds. And
Whovians.
Yeah, Whovians, if you will.
Please don't. But you could.
I never go for that term, but the it just I like getting that theater experience just as well. We have a movie theater that's not too far from me called the Redford Theater, and what they do there is they're set up like they're set up the same way they were when they were built in like the 20s, and they actually have a pipe organ there, and what they'll do is they show only older movies. So because my argument is, I believe, especially with older movies, some of them are only meant to be watched in movie theaters. So, like, movies like Jaws or silent films, I don't really, like, when they made them, they didn't make them with the intention of people are going to watch these at home on their VHS or their DVD player while they're on Facebook and texting their besties and all these different things. I feel like some movies are meant for you to just sit and watch the movie in a theater with no interruptions. That's why also sometimes you'll have the things where like it's super loud and then it gets super quiet, and it doesn't matter because you're in a movie theater, so you can still hear everything, and then the big loud scary parts are loud but you don't care, as opposed to the small parts, they're still quiet but you can still hear them. Where a lot of times going back and watching older movies at home, I have the problem of you have these loud massive parts, but then the volume gets super quiet, and so then I'm just riding the volume button, moving it up and down, and down, and that just takes you out of the film watching experience. Just the same is, though I do typically watch comedies at home, I try to avoid watching a comedy by myself, because I feel like there is a level of kind of mob mentality when watching comedies. Such
Laughter's infectious.
Yeah. So especially like the if you guys have seen The Wolf of Wall Street, correct? Mm-hmm. Now, did you guys see it at home or did you see it in theater?
I saw it at home.
And I saw it at home.
Okay. The scene where I saw it in theaters, and first off, the amount of people who walked off and stormed out of the movie, that alone made the movie for me, because I loved it. Because I don't know why, but I knew that's exactly how the movie was going to be. I guess a lot of people just didn't know. And
I mean, I know a group of moms in my area who, like, one of them tagged along to go see Magic Mike because she heard it was a dancing movie.
Oh.
Like, some people are just that dumb.
Yeah. So first off, the amount of people, I saw probably 8 people leave the movie because I saw it on opening weekend. So that made it for me. But the scene where he is on the Quaaludes and he's leaving. Okay, like, I watched the movie again at home with somebody who had never seen it before, and they thought it was funny, but it was just kind of like, ha ha ha. Like, people were crying, falling out of their seats in the theater. Like, just the, like I said, a lot of it was the mob mentality, but like, I was like, my chest hurt from laughing so hard for 3 minutes straight because of that scene.
That's what I saw.
I can see where that would play really well.
I saw Hot Rod, the scene in Hot Rod where he's falling down the hill for like a minute. It was exactly the same. The entire theater was like wetting themselves. And the scene in Talladega Nights when Ricky Bobby has been stabbed in the leg with the scissors.
Oh yeah,
like the whole theater was just like in tears.
Were you there for when I saw Hot Rod, Jeremiah?
No, I went and saw it with another group, I think.
Okay, because I came close to death.
I agree with you. So I agree with you, Ben. Like for comedies, for really good comedies, definitely there's an advantage to seeing it with a big group of people who also are there to see.
And and on the vice versa is I had seen Hot Rod for the very first time at home, and I thought it was funny, but I didn't think it was anything like out of this world. Now, and that's very specifically tuned into very weird. Like, you have to be in the right mindset and have to appreciate a very specific type of humor. And that's what that's where I wanted to transition into now, is talking about actually watching movies at home. Because the biggest issue that I have watching movies at home is it is extremely easy to not allow yourself to get into those mindsets, to not allow yourself to give it the same level of focus you do when you're in a theater. Like, you know, you've got
like watching more passively than actively, maybe.
Yeah, like it's like when you have the TV on in the background, you're playing a video game or you're cleaning the house. Like, it's maybe not to that level, but I feel like a lot of times when you're watching at home, you have your cell phone right there. You know, if somebody texts you, you're going to read the text when you're at home, as opposed to the movie theater. Like, I completely silence my phone and I don't look at anything. Whereas, like, when you're at home and you're watching a movie, you can't be like, oh, I was watching a movie at home, that's why I ignored your 16 phone calls. But if you're in the middle of a movie theater, you got a little bit of leeway. Mm-hmm. Just the same as...
There is a certain energy that there can be if there's, like, a good movie and a good crowd, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It's just, I feel like it's much more easy to get into the proper vibe. Whereas, like, for example, when the movie Avatar, when it came out on DVD and my sister had never seen it, and she came over to my house one day and she was flipping through all the movies I have, and she's like, Ben, we should watch Avatar. And I said, no, you're not allowed to watch Avatar. And I said, we have to wait until it gets re-released in theaters. And she goes, why? And I go, because I don't believe you'll feel what I believe you should feel unless you see it in theaters. So it did come out again in one of those real IMAX theaters near us. And we went, we saw the movie, and I turned to my sister, I go, Kelly, how do you feel right now? And she's like, I feel super depressed. I'm like, but why? And I'm like getting really excited. And I'm like, why do you feel depressed? She's like, because I have to just go and do schoolwork now, not climb on giant trees and be a giant blue person and ride on dragons and fight the pseudo-American military. And
with LSD, anything is possible.
Wow. But that was just the thing is like, I feel like we really got sucked into the movie to the point where, like, I really was like, I want to be there. I want to be doing all that. And I just don't believe there. I mean, maybe if I had, a lot more money, I could build a home theater where I could get that full experience. But I feel like with a normal person's home viewing experience, unless you're Jeremiah and you've got this massive
look at that
100-inch projector, it's just, I don't feel like you can get that level of viewing experience.
Mm-hmm. Jeremiah and I both have superior viewing setups, not sound wise for me, but I have a Panasonic 65-inch Panasonic VT60, which was the last plasma TV that Panasonic ever put out. It's like the top of the line best plasma you can get, pretty much, when you could get them. So it has like the deepest black levels, and like just watching the opening sequence of Casino Royale earlier, the animated intro, like the colors were like coming off the screen, like it looked like 3D without actually being 3D. Like, it's a good screen, so that's one reason why I don't go to movies as much as well.
Well, see, and the one thing I believe I sent it to Jeremiah, I don't know if I've shown you, Mark, is I actually have what's called an Adelight set up on my TV, and what it is I actually have 50 LED lights that are behind my TV that actually will detect what's on the screen and project those colors beyond the screen. Do you know?
Oh, that's cool.
Is that making sense what it is? So, like, if you're looking at this little frame right here, like, the example that a lot of people use for showing it is, like, it's a scene from Avatar, and they'll have a torch, and he's holding the torch and he's moving it like this. But as he's moving it, those colors are projecting off of the back of the TV from the LED lights to actually the wall behind you. So it almost looks like the colors are extending beyond the TV.
Yeah,
so
that sounds pretty neat.
That's my claim to fame for my home theater setup. But apart from that, I don't really have anything too fancy, though.
Well, let me just walk you through mine. No, my wife and I really like one of our favorite things to do together is watch watch TV shows. That's a hobby we both enjoy because we have similar enough tastes that we can enjoy good TV shows. Where when it comes to things like video games or her knitting and crocheting and stuff, like, our hobbies don't overlap on too many other things, but we both really like good TV shows. So
wait till Crochet Simulator comes out.
So when we moved out of our camper, before we lived in our camper, I had a 50-inch TV, and when the time I got it in college, that was like the biggest TV of anyone I knew who had one. We sold it, moved into a camper. We used a 27-inch monitor as a TV for almost 2 years. So by the time we moved out, I was ready to move on to something else. So we thought, hey, we know we like we've got to buy furniture because we have none. We have no TV or anything. We really like watching TV shows. Maybe we should invest a little more in this because we know we're going to get our money's worth out of it. So we got a nice couch and a nice projector and nice sound. And like, that was our only big investment, was our home theater setup. And it's not like, none of it's crazy nice stuff. The projector is actually a pretty cheap one as far as 1080p home theater projectors go. It's like a $750 projector. And then the sound is just stereo sound with a sub. I don't feel like most home theaters do a good enough job with surround sound. I don't think it's worth it for most people because they don't know what they're doing. But it's good stereo sound with a sub, and we just shoot it right on the wall. It looks great. Like, it doesn't have the black levels or the colors that Mark's TV does for sure. But the overall experience is superior to most theaters I've been in. Because in most theaters, when I go to them now, like, I'm like, the sound's kind of weak. And the screen's maybe a little bit soft, like if there's a tiny projection issue or something. Like, I'm very critical of that now. Pretty much just IMAX is a better experience. Because at home, I'm so much more comfortable. And honestly, the picture quality, I think, is better because it's a much smaller screen, so it's sharper on the whole thing. And I can have the audio up as loud as I want it, no matter where I'm
most
sitting.
Most theaters won't let me, like, just sit there with my dick hanging out in a bottle full of Lagavulin 16. So.
Exactly, that's right.
Most. There are a few, but most.
But they're not showing the movies. They're not showing Avengers. But yeah, so for that reason, it's very rare. Like, I only go to a theater if it's a movie I just can't wait to see. But for pretty much everything else, I really do feel like I'm having a superior experience than most theaters on my setup. And that goes for like TV shows and everything. I feel like are generally having a superior experience, but.
And see, and I would definitely say agree with that is how I would feel. I feel with many things that I watch, that just the comfort of being in my own home with having my own stuff and being able to control things the way I want them to be controlled and displayed the way I want them to be displayed. I do like, I guess it's just when I know I want that theater experience, whether it is that mob mentality of getting like, you know, going to see Star Wars, for example, at midnight and knowing everybody else in this theater is as geeked out about it as I am, or Fast and the Furious 7, you know, which I didn't actually see in theaters, but I've seen like Fast and the Furious 6 in theaters. And like, I love just seeing everybody react to these horribly ridiculous lines and everybody else also agreeing with me like, okay, that was really cheesy, but that's what makes it awesome.
We're going to see Lars von Trier's Antichrist in the theater, where everyone can see Willem Dafoe's dick get smashed by a block of wood. And then he comes blood.
I have no idea what you're referring to.
Oh, you don't know about that movie?
No.
Look it up later. It's one of those movies where definitely like...
What is it called?
Antichrist with Willem Dafoe. It's one of those movies where you're like, how did this really get made? Like, not that, I mean, I guess some people probably really enjoy it, but just like, it doesn't make sense of who thought this was a good idea.
Just look up the Talking Fox clip. It's ridiculous.
And so I guess when you guys are watching movies at home and you're whether it is at home or in a theater, what is the, apart from the actual screen and sound, what is the way that you guys like to watch the movie, I suppose? Like
in the theater?
Well, like just either in the theater, at home, like do you talk during the movies? Do you not talk? Do you hate when people talk? Do you make snide comments throughout the movie? Do you eat food while you're watching it? Do you not eat food? Do you not drink? I don't know. What is, like, do you have to, like, for example, one thing I do is I throw my cell phone to the literal opposite side of the room, and just so I won't look at text messages, I won't goof with it, so it makes me focus on the movie. That's one example. What are your guys' viewing habits, I suppose, when you're trying to really commit to watching a movie?
Food is fine. Food enhances the experience.
Well, like, now, what kind of food? Like, just like snacks, or will you do like a full-on dinner? We
eat dinner every night sitting on the couch watching something, so yes.
Okay.
Phones or no. Now see, it's contingent. If we've never seen this thing before, no phones, no talking, no jokes, nothing. If it's a movie we've seen before, like our yearly post-Thanksgiving movie marathon. Mark's come over for a few of those. Like if we're marathoning movies, it's usually movies we've seen before or kind of silly or something. I still want people to pay attention, but making jokes is fine. Like looking up something, a bit of trivia on your phone, I don't care. Like if it's something we've already seen and we're not taking that seriously, but if it's a movie I'm excited for, yeah, no phones, no interruptions, nothing. Except
for the Michael Bay marathon, he actually strapped me into that setup from A Clockwork Orange, and so I couldn't close my eyes, and forced me to take it all in.
Yeah, that day I'd almost forgotten about that.
No, never forget.
What about you, Mark? When you are choosing to watch a movie?
It depends on what I'm watching. Sometimes, like, if it's not very good, I'll kind of start just passively watching it, and I might play with my phone or something. But if it's something that I'm really invested in and want to watch, no, I'll like lights off. I usually don't eat when I watch a movie. Although when I watched Fury Road, I had 2 beers, and that seemed to make me more excited about the movie. But yeah, just it'll have my full attention. Like if it's something that I'm really interested in, no distractions. And like Jeremiah said, if we're watching something with a group of people and we've seen it before, we'll joke around a little bit. Like during the we did a Fast and the Furious marathon, and I think maybe like Jeremiah would look over at me and I'd make a giddy comment when something wondrously stupid would happen. But for the most part, I don't feel like I talk too much over that.
And that's another big thing I don't like about the theater. I think Mark agrees with is it's very hard to get the right crowd in the theater. If it's like opening night at midnight, usually you're set. But most of the time, man, it's so hard. There's just so many people not paying attention or just talking through stuff. It just pisses me off.
Yeah. But like Ben said, when you hit the right crowd and the energy is right, then yeah, it does make it better. But I do feel like my experiences as far as that is concerned have been fewer and further between than, just going to see it. And, a lot of times when I go to see a movie though, I will admit it's when when it's been out for a while and there's not as many people there, because since I've had poor experiences with a lot of people, sometimes I like to see it when there's not going to be a huge crowd. So I don't know. Mixed results on theaters for me most of the time.
I'll be honest, it's confession time. I am a person who talks during the movie, but I will only talk about things that are relevant to the movie. And especially, it depends on the movie, but for stuff like Fast and the Furious, I love to see those movies with people to almost to a degree to treat it like a mystery space science theater or whatever it's called. I can't remember what the exact thing was called. But
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
I knew 3000 was shoved in there somewhere. But I just there's certain movies where I know I'm going to be making jokes throughout the movie, and the making of the jokes and people making jokes back to me is what makes it a more fun experience. Whereas other movies, I will be okay, nobody's allowed to talk. I get really upset, especially, and I'm sure you guys feel the same, when you're showing somebody a movie you think is really great for the first time, and you see that phone go out, and you're like, put the fucking thing away.
Yep. I think we all feel the same way, probably.
You're just it's the most disrespectful thing to me. It'd be it's if you were an amazing cook and somebody is can we order McDonald's after you just cook them a meal? I'm this is something I want to show you because I think this is amazing and I feel you think think it's amazing.
Talking over the song you want them to hear.
Yeah.
It's irritating.
So that's why I think phones and Facebook and all that crap are just the bane of existence. But the
watch your filthy mouth.
But in terms of eating, for me, if it's I don't think I can do a full meal if it is a more intense movie, like you were saying, Jeremiah. You'll eat dinner. I typically can't do dinner while I'm watching a movie. I can do it with TV, but I cannot do it with movies just because there's something more. I guess it depends on what I'm eating, but I feel like eating dinner is a little more involved than.
Well, I'm kind of a food vacuum. It's rare that I'm eating past the opening credits, so it doesn't matter quite as much.
I typically will get, like, when I'm eating like something like for a night like that, it's typically more of like an involved food. Like it's going to take multiple hands and multiple like dressings and silverware, and I got to keep like looking down away from the movie, and then like it'll be like somebody will like see something, and then it'll be like, duh, and then like the scene will change and be like, oh, I was, cutting up my burrito and I missed whatever the scene was. So I'm like, okay, now I got to go back. And
I think I've probably eaten like pizza sometimes.
Yeah, like pizza, popcorn, anything that like I don't actually have to look at it from grabbing it to putting it in my mouth. Typically that's fine. It's just anything that gets a little more involved that.
Well, that's how guys pull the old cut the hole in the bottom of the popcorn trick. That is a theater plus.
So yeah, I guess, do you guys have any other movie watching preferences that you can think of in terms of like, do you typically like to binge watch movies, or are you like if you're going to be watching a movie that night, you're going to watch the one and that's it?
Usually just the one.
I found that like if I'm in the mood for movies, like a lot of times I'll watch like 4 or 5 in a row.
I mean, I'll do that with TV shows. We'll like, if we're get on a tear, we'll go all night. But yeah, I'm never like Mark.
It doesn't happen often with movies. Most of the time, if I watch one, it's going to be one. But like if I'm really like in the zone or something like that, and I'm feeling it, like yeah, I'll watch a bunch in a row, and I've done that a few times and really enjoyed it.
See, and I've definitely had days where it's like, I've got the day off, it's raining outside, I'm with my girlfriend or whatever, and I'll just watch movie after movie after movie. But the only thing is for me is, if it's a comedy, whatever, or if it's a movie I've seen before, whatever. But if it's a movie I've never seen before, and it's like, for example, if it was a James Bond movie and I'd never seen it before, I need to like stop and like we need to talk for 20 minutes at least about the movie. Like I get irritated watching movie after movie after movie without spending some time reflecting on the movie, which may be a little silly, but like I feel like I need to like make sure that I noticed everything that was important or discuss everything that was important, and there wasn't anything I missed that the person I watched the movie saw that maybe I missed or something. That's just something I've always like had to do, is just I like discussing the movie, and like I'll go see movies with people who are just like, I just want to watch a movie and I want to talk about it. Like for that hour and a half or 2 hours, I just want to have fun, but I want to talk about it. I'm like, you don't want to like talk about like your favorite scenes, what parts you like, what parts you don't, and they'll be like, no. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I always like, especially when we go to a theater, I want to talk about it when we leave the theater and walk into the car, and if we go get food afterwards. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, like, and there's been people where it's like, okay, like, I'm not telling you this, but we're never seeing movies alone together again because you are not the right person for watching movies with, which may be a bit silly, but that's just, I will write people off based off of their movie watching technique, or if there's somebody who does just spend the entire time texting. Like we're not going to be watching movies together, at least alone anymore. Like we got to have other people so I can at least talk to them about the movies. So I don't know.
Does anyone go to the movies to make out anymore? That used to be a big thing.
At $12 a ticket, no. I need to find somebody who knows how to laminate things so I can keep updating my student ID.
Why buy the ticket when you can fuck the cow for free? You know what I'm saying?
So, all right. I think that kind of wraps up the discussion. We're coming up on about a half hour, so.
Do you guys home theaters better? Regular theaters are fun if you're going to see action movies or with the right crowd. And people who talk in the theater go to the special hell. Is that where we're at? Okay.
Yes,
cool.
I'd say that. And especially the other thing too, I would say is not only is do you have to see those those special movies right towards when it comes out. Like, or not, like, there's the special movies you want to see in the theater, but you also have to see them right when they come out, because I feel like going into see Fast and the Furious 7 during its last week of being in the theater, when it's in the theater that supports like 20 people being in it, like if for some reason it's got weird dimensions where half of the picture's cut off or whatever. I don't know if the theaters like you guys are like that, but that's how they all are by me. Like when it's on the very last week, I feel like it ruins the film experience, and I might as well have just waited 2 more months, and then I could have watched it at home and it would have looked 20 times better. And plus then it's just you and whoever you're with in the movie theater, and that one creepy guy who has the rest of the entire theater but for some reason wants to sit right next to you.
No, yeah, see, I know I'm like an opening weekend or bust kind of guy normally.
And that's what I've definitely moved towards, is I've got to see it the weekend it comes out or the following weekend. If not, I'm probably not going to see it in theaters. Though, like I said, I do see a lot of movies on opening weekend. It's just I have to see it on that opening weekend. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So, Mark, are you kind of in the same accord with?
Yes, we're all in harmony.
Okay, I believed you were in the same.
We're not arguing enough. I'm not really sure if it's appropriate to end yet with us all agreeing on things.
We haven't disagreed all that much on most things.
That's true. Want to go back to the Skyfall episode?
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, it's getting late and I got to be up in 4.5 hours. So that's what we kind of wrap it up.
All right.
So, all right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. And please check out Jeremiah's channel as well as Casual Shenanigans, which will be in the comments. And Mark, do you have any specific thing that you'd like to share as well? You want to share that Twitter of yours again?
I do, but indecent exposure is illegal. So.
Oh, bye.
So we'll have all the social media links in the description. And remember to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.
Later.